Chapter 14, Aggregate Demand 2, Applying the ISLM Model. In the ISLM model, short-run equilibrium occurs where the goods market and the money market are both in balance. The IS curve represents equilibrium in the goods market. It is derived from the national income identity, Y equals consumption a function of Y minus T bar plus investment a function of R plus G. This means that total output Y equals the sum of consumption, investment, and government spending. The LM curve represents equilibrium in the money market. M bar over P bar equals liquidity, a function of R and Y. This shows that the real money supply equals the demand for real money balances, which depends on the interest rate R and output Y. The point where the IS and LM curves intersect determines the unique combination of output Y and interest rate R that satisfies equilibrium in both markets. We are now examining how fiscal policy affects the IS curve. 1. An increase in government spending. An increase in government spending shifts the IS curve to the right. The size of the shift is given by delta T over 1 minus MPC. As a result, R increases and Y increases. Step 1, the IS curve shifts to the right by delta T over 1 minus MPC. Step 2, output increases from Y1 to Y2. Step 3, the interest rate rises from R1 to R2. 2. A tax cut. A tax cut also shifts the IS curve to the right. The magnitude of the shift is delta T times MPC over 1 minus MPC. As a result, R increases and Y increases. Step 1, the IS curve shifts to the right by delta T times MPC over 1 minus MPC. Step 2, output increases from Y1 to Y2. Step 3, the interest rate rises from R1 to R2. With this one, we are examining how monetary policy affects the IS curve. 3. An increase in money supply. An increase in the money supply shifts the LM curve downward or to the right. This is because more money in the economy reduces the interest rate required to equilibrate money demand with money supply. The result, R decreases and Y increases. Step 1, M increases real money balances. Step 2, the LM curve shifts downward from LM1 to LM2. Step 3, this lowers the interest rate from R1 to R2 and raises output from Y1 to Y2. Monetary and fiscal policies can interact. For example, if Congress increases government spending, the central bank or the Fed can respond in different ways. Here are 3 possible responses by the Fed. 1. Hold the money supply M constant. 2. Hold the interest rate R constant. Or 3. Hold output Y constant. Case 1. Hold M constant. If the Fed keeps the money supply fixed, the increase in G shifts the IS curve to the right. The LM curve stays unchanged. The new equilibrium shows a higher interest rate R and higher output Y. Case 2. Hold R constant. If the Fed wants to keep the interest rate fixed while government spending increases, the IS curve shifts to the right. To keep the interest rate R constant, the Fed increases the money supply, which shifts the LM curve to the right. As a result, the interest rate R remains unchanged, while output Y increases further. Case 3. Hold Y constant. If the Fed wants to keep output Y fixed while government spending increases, the IS curve shifts to the right. To keep Y constant, the Fed reduces the money supply, shifting the LM curve to the left. The result is the interest rate R increases further, but no change in output Y. Here is the exercise. Use the ISLM model to examine the effects of the following shocks. Determine the effects on Y and R. Figure out what happens to C, I and the unemployment rate. Scenario 1. A housing market crash that reduces consumers' wealth. When consumers lose wealth, they reduce consumption. This causes the IS curve to shift to the left. Output Y falls and the interest rate R falls. Lower R encourages investment, but lower wealth reduces consumption. Lower output Y also leads to lower consumption and higher unemployment rate by Ucon's law. Scenario 2. Increase in money demand. Consumers begin using cash more frequently in response to rising identity theft. This increases the demand for money at every level of income. As a result, the LM curve shifts left. The new equilibrium shows a higher interest rate R and lower output Y. A higher R reduces investment, and a lower Y reduces consumption and raises unemployment rate by Ucon's law. What is the Fed's policy instrument? The Fed can change the money supply, which shifts the LM curve to reach its macroeconomic targets. In practice, the Fed targets the federal funds rate. Other short-term interest rates generally move with it. Why does the Fed target interest rates instead of the money supply? 1. Interest rates are easier to observe and measure than the money supply. 2. The Fed may believe that LM shocks, money demand, or money supply shifts are more common than IS shocks, demand side disturbances. If that is the case, targeting interest rates helps stabilize income more effectively than targeting the money supply. So far, we've used the ISLM model to analyze the short run with a fixed price level. Now in this section, we ask what happens when the price level P changes. A rise in P reduces the real money supply, M over P. This causes the LM curve to shift upward. As a result, the interest rate R rises and output Y falls. This process links changes in the price level to changes in output, which is the foundation of the downward sloping aggregate demand curve. The aggregate demand curve summarizes this inverse relationship between the price level P and output Y. Monetary policy can influence aggregate demand through its effect on interest rates and spending. When the Fed increases the money supply, the LM curve shifts to the right. As a result, the interest rate R falls. Lower interest rates lead to higher investment and higher consumption. Together, this increases output Y at any given price level P. The shift in Y at every price level P causes the aggregate demand curve to shift to the right. Fiscal policy can shift aggregate demand by affecting output at any given price level. An increase in government spending or a tax cut shifts the IS curve to the right. This raises output Y at each level of the price level P. This leads to a rightward shift of the aggregate demand curve. Here we begin the quiz. Let's take a moment to test your understanding of the ISLM model. Question number 1. What causes income to decline and the interest rate to rise? When the money supply decreases, the LM curve shifts to the left. This leads to a higher interest rate and lower output. In the graph, the LM curve shifts left from LM1 to LM2. The new equilibrium is at point B, where R is higher and Y is lower than at point A. The answer is D, a decrease in the money supply. Question number 2. What causes both income and the interest rate to decline? Higher taxes reduce disposable income and consumption. This shifts the IS curve to the left, lowering both the interest rate and output. In the graph, the IS curve shifts left from IS1 to IS2. The new equilibrium at point B shows lower R and lower Y compared to point A. The answer is A, an increase in taxes. Question number 3. If MPC equals 0.6 and T decreases by 200, by how much does the IS curve shift to the right? The magnitude of the shift is delta Y equals MPC over 1 minus MPC overall times delta T. Plug in the numbers, we get delta Y equals 0.6 over 1 minus 0.6 overall times 200 equals 300. The answer is C. The IS curve shifts to the right by 300. Question number 4. If the IS curve is given by y equals 1700 minus 100R and the LM curve is given by y equals 500 plus 100R, what are the equilibrium values of income Y and interest rate R? Set IS equal to LM, we get 1700 minus 100R equals 500 plus 100R. Solving for R, then R equals 6. Substitute R equals 6 into either equation, we get Y equals 1100. The answer is A. Y equals 1100 and R equals 6%. In this chapter, we use the ISLM model to explain how the economy behaves in the short run. We saw that fiscal policy shifts the IS curve, while monetary policy shifts the LM curve. The point where the IS and LM curves intersect determines the level of output and the interest rate in the short run. We also learned that changes in the price level affect real money balances and shift the LM curve. This connection helps us understand the shape of the aggregate demand curve. The ISLM model gives us a useful way to see how policy decisions and economic shocks affect the economy.